The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is itself a frightful despotism. But this leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. The disorders and miseries which result gradually incline the minds of men to seek security and repose to the absolute power of an individual, and sooner or later the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than his competitors, turns this disposition to the purpose of his own elevation on the ruins of public liberty. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take us all back to the year 2008, where we had McCain and Obama vying for the presidency of the United States of America. And the reason I want to bring this up is because of how I felt in that year. And that was that President Obama was the person we needed in order for America to strive forward. And I had all my support on him, so much so that I wish I actually voted for him, because I didn't. I didn't have any faith in the establishment. When the polling started coming in, right, the numbers started coming in, and it seemed like McCain was going to be the president, right? That McCain's numbers were coming up. It bothered me so much that that almost as if by instinct, I felt the need to leave my house, somehow manage to register to vote and vote for Obama, because I felt that if he was not the president, that America would crumble down into nothing. Even at the beginning of his presidency, I remember seeing him either with Michelle or in one of those motorcade parades or something like that, going down the street. I can't remember if it was in a car or was walking. All I do remember is seeing Obama going down the street, waving at the people. And me thinking, because I was drawing parallels to him and JFK, me thinking that if anybody did anything to my president, that I would rise up against them and I'd swear revenge on whoever it was that even dared attempt anything against him. The thing is, I was so into it, so caught up by the charismatic Obama, that it wasn't until later on that I started realizing something. And the point is that Obama was a politician. He was the same as everybody else. And I'll give you a few examples, because first let's talk about the NDAA.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to introduce a very simple piece of legislation to repeal the infamous Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act, quietly signed into law by the President on New Year's Day. What a way to usher in the new year. Section 1021 essentially codifies into law the very dubious claim of presidential authority under 2001 authorization for the use of military force to indefinitely detain American citizens without access to legal representation or due process of law. Section 1021 provides for the possibility of the U.S. military acting as a kind of police force on U.S. soil, apprehending terror suspects, including Americans, and whisking them off to an undisclosed location indefinitely. No right to attorney, no right to trial, no day in court.
Well, let's not forget the fact that he extended Bush's Patriot Act and the things involved in that.
But what you need to know actually goes back to what Congressman Sensenbrenner said about the Patriot Act. Remember, I told you that he claims he had no idea the Patriot Act would be used in this way by the NSA. Well, that is the lesson that needs to come from all this. The Patriot Act was rushed into law just after September 11, 2001, as Congress threw its hands in the air and decided that safety was more important than liberty. Congress took a law that allowed the Constitution to be trampled, and they handed a blank check to government agencies. 12 years later, we're surprised that the feds are now abusing that power. Some people say that once you give government a power, they will never give it back. And that's true. But that doesn't mean that power can't be taken back. That is the beauty of a constitutional republic.
So here we are, somebody that I had put my faith in, somebody that I had believed in, so much so that I would rise up in their name, was just another politician. The reason I bring this up is because I'm seeing the same zealotry from Trump supporters. Now, I have a bunch of Trump friends, right? And the thing is, I will not unfriend you. You are not dead to me just because you're a Trump supporter. I don't even care about the policies, what you believe and what you don't. But it doesn't keep me from having to call out people. And I call people out from a point of understanding because I know where you've been. You believe in somebody so much that that's your safety net. And then you impart everything that you are, all the goodness that you perceive in the world, into this one individual. Except for the fact that that individual is a human, liable for making mistakes and promoting self-interest. So I'll give you an example now of my interactions with other Democrats after I came to my realization about Obama. They would defend him no matter what. It didn't matter how bad his actions were. Doesn't matter about his policies. Didn't matter about his decisions. So long as he said, "Don't worry, just trust me," Democrats would. One criticism I gave was that Obama's Predator drone strikes were killing innocent people. Now, listen, I am not a pacifist. I understand war. I understand that people are going to die during conflicts.
I think there's been, in the past, legitimate criticism that the architecture, the legal architecture around the use of drone strikes or other kinetic strikes wasn't as precise as it should have been, and there's no doubt that civilians were killed that shouldn't have been. I think that over the last several years, we have worked very hard to avoid and prevent those kinds of tragedies from taking place. In situations of war, we have to take responsibility when we're not acting appropriately, or where we've just made mistakes, even with the best of intentions. And that's what we're going to continue to try to do.
And how exactly do we take responsibility for the loss of innocent lives? Did Obama go to jail? Did Bush? Did anybody responsible for the situation go to jail? Or was this just hashed up as just another case of collateral damage? And when I would bring this up to Democrats at the time, they would always try to deflect. Deflect was saying, "Oh, but Bush killed more people." And it's just like, this isn't an argument about body count. This is an argument about policy. This is an argument about the loss of innocent lives. So I want to use current events for a good example of one of the issues at hand, right? So in the news, we have Republicans and conservatives all raging out about this alleged conspiracy or scandal with Biden, right? They're already calling him guilty, and a lot of Republicans and conservatives are making it sound as if Republicans are free from corruption, as if they're all immaculate individuals, paragons of truth, justice. And all you got to do is look at Google, do a search. One of the largest scandals in our past was Nixon. Nixon was a Republican. And this is what happens throughout the years of not finding middle ground, allowing these politicians to do as they please or to peddle their ideologies to us, the American people, when it's supposed to be the other way around. And the thing is that corruption shifts hands. It passes from one side to the other. They exist at the same time even. And the only thing, even if we want to say that Biden is completely and utterly guilty of this situation, all that we can say is that we caught him. It says nothing that the Republican politicians aren't in the mix with some underhanded stuff. So now I'm seeing it with Trump supporters. So here we are again, the zealots and the cultists, trying to peddle their Lord and Savior. And here's the thing, guys. The office of presidency is a glorified area manager position. They are not important. Really. Any one of you could probably do the job. Because they surround themselves with individuals and they're the idea makers. They're the ones that figure out how to make things happen. So the office of presidency isn't even that important. So for us to prop up these individuals and deify them as saviors, as the new Messiah, is ridiculous. And it all comes back to how our country was born. George Washington warned us. We didn't listen. We have a two-party system. It has divided us since the beginning. Why is it so surprising that we are where we are right now? And why do you think that peddling your Messiah is going to make me or any of the other 100 million Americans who didn't vote last year motivated to vote? But I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I'm like an atheist being told he needs to worship God and it's not going to work. And if you cannot find this middle ground, right, each individual, each person on Facebook, each person on YouTube making videos revolving around politics, if you yourselves are so deep involved into your party and you think the other ones are just idiots and you, whatever reason, cannot find some sort of middle ground, you need to step aside, shut up, step aside, and let the individuals who will actually unify us in the forefront, to be our voices, to unify the American people, because we are one people. And I hate seeing my country failing the way it does. Do or do not, there is no try, guys. This has been a message from your national idiot. Have a good one and be safe.